Hello everyone. In the last AI blog, we learned about virtual environments, how to create them, switch between them, install libraries into them, why we might want to use them. And in this AI blog, we are going to create another virtual environment using Python 3.6.6, and we will install a specific version of OpenCV into that virtual environment and get started with our first OpenCV program. So the learning objectives are how to install OpenCV, how to write your first OpenCV program, how to display multiple GUI windows, and how to display multiple types of windows. So without further ado, let's cut to me in Visual Studio Code setting up our virtual environment. Hello everyone. Let's install Python 3.6. So we're going to go to Python, Downloads, Windows, Control F, 3.6.6, and we want the executable installer. Here we go. And in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, you should have this installed. We want to add Python 3.6 to the path. Install now. Wait for it. 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 And in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, you have installed Python 3.6.6. You can press close, and now you can open Visual Studio Code right here. And so if we want to create a new Python virtual environment, all we need to do is type pi-3.6-m for module. It's going to be a VNV, and the name v3.6. Enter. And in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, you have created a new virtual environment with its own libraries and scripts. The next thing we want to do is install OpenCV in this virtual environment. So if I want to change to start using that virtual environment, well, all I need to do is type v3.6/scripts/activate. Boom! And if I want to double check to make sure I did this correctly, pi/V for the version. Boom! Python 3.6.6. Next, we want to install OpenCV. So pip install OpenCV-Python. Now, if you just do this, it will install the latest version of OpenCV. However, we want to download a very specific version, 4.5.3.56. That's 4.5.3.56. Now we can press enter. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. And in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, you have successfully downloaded OpenCV. Okay, now we're back in the PowerPoint. My first OpenCV file. First thing we're going to do is import CV2. This imports the OpenCV library, which is essential for computer vision tasks like image processing, video capture, and more. What it does is it loads the library into your Python environment so you can use its functions. The next thing we're going to do is print cv2 dot underscore underscore version underscore underscore. And what this does is it prints the version of the OpenCV library installed on your system. We're going to do this just to ensure that we're using the correct version of OpenCV. The next thing we're going to do is create a object. So cam is a variable and it's going to be set to cv2.videoCapture with a 0. And so 0 refers to the default webcam on your laptop, so or your device. In my case, I'm using a laptop, and what I found was 0 is the default webcam. It worked for me, so I was able to use my webcam. So if you have multiple webcams, such as you have the default webcam in your laptop, and maybe you have another, like you have a separate webcam that's better, it might be number 1. So if you have multiple web cameras, you can replace 0 with 1 or another number to access a different camera. Next thing we're going to do is create an infinite loop, and the point of this is to grab a frame and then show a frame and do this infinitely. So what do you have when you are continuously grabbing a frame and showing a frame inside of a program? You have a movie. And so what this does is it creates a live stream of your webcam. It'll repeatedly execute until explicitly broken. So we're going to get to how to break it eventually, but we'll get there. Next we have ignore, comma, frame equals camera dot read. So this captures a single frame from the webcam. So cam.read is going to return 2 values. And that's why we have 2 variables to store the 2 values. The first value is going to be stored in ignore, usually a Boolean value indicating if the frame was captured successfully. And frame, the actual frame captured as an image array. Next, we need to show the frame. So once we grab a frame, we need to show a frame. And it's going to be cv2.imshow. And then inside, you can pass in what you want to name your GUI window. So a window is going to pop up and it'll have a name, so you can give the name right here, and comma frame, which is the frame. It displays the current frame in a window titled webcam, opens a GUI window and renders the frame. cv2.move window, and then you have coordinates, so it moves the webcam to a specific screen position. And you can fiddle around with this to have it be on a different place on your screen. Next, we have a way to gracefully exit the program. So what this does, it waits for a key press for 1 millisecond and checks if the key pressed is Q. So this is specific to Windows machines because we have this part, and 0xff ensures compatibility for 64-bit systems by masking out extra bits. So this is for Windows. Mac OS and Linux people, don't worry about this. Next we have what this is doing is it is going to convert Q to the ASCII code, and we're going to check if the key we pressed was that ASCII code. which is Q. So it'll trigger the break statement. And if you want more details about the specifics of this, here they are. Here's the ASCII table. Okay, so if you press Q, it'll issue the break, so it'll exit out of the while loop. And outside of everything, at the end of the file, not inside the for loop, or not inside the while loop, not inside of anything, you're going to do cam.release, and it releases the webcam source. Okay, here we are back in Visual Studio Code. I am inside of my virtual environment, and we're going to go ahead and make a new file. Have it opencv.py. Okay, and so the first thing you're going to want to do is import that library, and maybe we want to go ahead and print to double check what version we're using, __ version __. Let's give that a quick go. Let's see, OpenCV 4.5.3, and that is the version we want to be using. So now we can store cv2.video capture for 0. So this will create a camera object. So cam is equal to cv2.videoCapture 0. 0 is the default webcam on your device. If you're using an external webcam, you might want to try 1. So for me, it's just a cam object. It's 0. So for me. Now we're going to create a while loop. So infinite loop unless explicitly broken. So we're going to do a while true. When is that true? It's always true. So next, cam.read is going to return 2 values, and we're going to store them in 2 variables. The first one is a Boolean value, and the second one is our frame. So we got a Boolean value, and store it and ignore. Okay, and next we're going to want to show the frame. So we read a frame, show a frame. So how do we show a frame? We cv2 again dot imshow, and then you can name it whatever you want to. My webcam, and then we're going to pass in frame. Read a frame, show a frame. Next, we're going to have a way to gracefully exit the program. Exit the program. And we're going to do that by listening for a key press. And so CV2 is going to listen for 1 millisecond to see if it hears ORed. And for Windows machines, we're going to need to handle a quirk where, let's see, what is the quirk? So we're going to ensure compatibility. So we're going to ensure compatibility with 64-bit systems by masking extra bits. 0xff equals this. Okay. And that's good. Next, so if you press that key, what's going to happen? You're going to break out of the infinite loop. And then you're going to type at the end, cam dot release. That's it. And then if you run this program, how do you run this program? You just do the same thing you've always been doing. And it'll take 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, and there we go. Okay, and then if you want to get out of this, you put your mouse over the window and press Q. So another thing we're going to do is show off the different types of frames you can capture. Okay, so here we are in Visual Studio Code showing you how to display different windows with different color frames. So we have our gray frame, our HSV frame, our lab frame, and here we are showing them. We have the original frame, which is simply the frame we captured in the first place. And to get the gray frames and the HSV and lab frames, we have to declare a variable, set it equal to the library.cvt color, pass in the frame, and tell the library to convert the blue, green, red one to the gray, HSV, or lab one respectively. Then we show them, and we tell it where to have them on the page. So top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. And if at any point we press Q while holding our mouse over the GUI window, it will break and we will cam.release and cv2.destroy all windows. So without further ado, and in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, we have 4 GUI windows. You can see we have the original, we have grayscale, we have hue saturation value, and we have lab. And so I think that's a good place to end this video. Be sure to put your cursor over your GUI window and press Q to exit, and have a good night.